Welcome to the Caribbean Edge. My name is Dawn Wilson. I'm one of your hosts for this evening, and I am being joined by co-host Miss Sophia Nicholson. Hi, Sophie.
Hi, good to be here. And of course, in your other role, your Auntie Dawn. Good to see you again.
Good to see you today. I was thinking I have to try to refrain from saying Auntie Sophie.
Today, my hat is Sophia Nicholson.
Welcome, welcome. And
Thank
we
you.
have three parents joining us today as we talk about the parent role versus the teacher's role in the school system or the education system, because a lot of parents believe or mistake that the teachers are responsible for educating their children. So we said, okay, let's talk to some parents and get their input. And there's one of the guests that actually inspired this particular topic, Miss Paula Rowe, who is joining us from Jamaica, because she and I were having the conversation and she was telling about all the great things that she's doing with kids and how she got her two beautiful kids started. And I was like, wow, we need to do a show on this topic. So welcome, Miss Paula Rowe.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure, Auntie Dawn.
You're so welcome. So tell us about you, who you are, your beautiful kids, everything.
Okay, I am a mother of two children, Olivia Grace, who is 4 years old. She's going to be 5 next week. And Joshua Rowe, he is 8 years old. Both my children are amazing, but Joshua is my inspiration. And because Joshua is a typical 8-year-old looking at him, but Joshua he actually has autism. And when I found out that he had autism, it really caused me to take a totally different perspective on the whole educational field, because I was a marketer before, and with Joshua, I had to find a way to ensure that my child would be the best version of himself, despite any and I don't call it a disability, I call it a different ability. So he has a different ability from other children. It doesn't mean that he's any less smart or more smart than any other child. It's just ensuring that I understood him, and I had to learn all that I could and get over the whole denial and fear and of being a parent with a special needs child when I found out. And I find that a lot of parents have that challenge where they don't want to accept that their child has a challenge, and they hide or they deny until it's too late. So I am an educator now, and my son inspired that. I am currently a student as well. I'm studying special education at the Michael University College. I am a teacher, and since I'm a private tutor, I'm a mother. I am an agent of change, a voice for those persons, those students, those children who feel as if they can't make it, they don't have a say. Some of them who have been told for so long that they're dunce, they are stupid, they can't make it. But they didn't understand that they learn differently and nothing is wrong with them. It's just that the person who is saying to them that they're stupid, something is actually wrong with them. They need to educate themselves. And from there, they will be able to also make a difference. So I'm very passionate about education. I'm passionate about those children who are struggling. And I have, when I talk about them and when I work with them, it just lights me up.
And we can certainly see that, right? So at what age did you find out that Joshua was special, different?
Okay, that he was exceptional?
That he was exceptionally different, yes.
Okay, we were fortunate. Our pediatrician, she picked up on it very early. And the reason for that, I had 4 miscarriages before. And after 4 miscarriages and 268 injections to take my son into the world, yes, some persons go down that road very easy. I had to do it the hard way. And despite that, when he was 36 weeks, he was actually measuring 32 weeks. So for 4 weeks, he was basically not getting any nutrients from me, really. I had a clotting disorder that every time I got pregnant, my blood would clot and it would cut off the blood supply to the fetus. And despite the injections carrying him to 32 weeks, they had to do an emergency C-section to take him out at 36 weeks. So our pediatrician, she was the best, is the best. She monitored him. So he was meeting all the developmental milestones. And at 11 months, she said to us, when we went for a regular checkup, that she realized that he's not meeting the developmental milestones anymore. As a matter of fact, he seemed to be regressing. And she also pointed out, and she was very careful how she said it. She said she noticed that he has autistic tendencies, and she was very careful. So the word tendency, she didn't say he has autism. And hearing that word, I have a nephew who has autism, and he is on the severe end of the spectrum. For persons who don't know, autism is a spectrum disorder. It means that no two child who has autism is the same. So they have various different traits, different issues, different challenges, different abilities. And when she said that, I immediately felt depressed. I went into denial because I had to question God and say, God, why? After going through all of this, why would you want to give me a child with autism? And, you know, I really went through the whole grieving process, but I had to do it quickly. To be honest, I think I went through it within a week. And then I had to get over myself and say, listen, God only gives good gifts. So I need to make sure that I'm going to do all that I can do to ensure that this gift from God is going to be the best that he could be. And I just started to do research, and I signed up with programs. I got involved with persons who are in certain educational field. And I mean, you know, it's just amazing. I was doing early childhood education at the time, not because I wanted to go into the field, but because of the job I was doing. I wanted to get to know that niche markets a whole lot better. And I wanted to be able to relate to the teachers when I go out to market the products to them. And as God would have it, that is really what I needed to learn because of what I was going to find out about my son. So when she said that to me, as I said, 1 week, and then I had to get over it. So what I started to do, everything I was learning, I transformed my house into a learning center. My living room was no longer a living room. It was a stimulating environment. I had to use educational videos, everything. I invested in a lot of educational stuff for Joshua. And not only did I buy, but I also made stuff, because in doing my course, I learned about using trashables, things that we would normally discard, to turn it into learning aids. And that's what I did. So a regular juice bottle, one of those plastic chubby bottles, I would turn that into a musical instrument, a shaker, by putting rice or sand in there. That would grab his attention. I would paint it, make it colorful and attractive. You know, it was just, there was nothing I wouldn't do for Josh. And in doing that, yes, because he had to be, he wasn't going to be a statistic. He had to be the person that God meant for him to be. And I'm his mother. And, you know, the fact that God allowed me to have this child to bring him into the world, Joshua means God is my salvation. So the fact that he is such a powerful individual, it means that God has great things in store for him. So,
and we are so proud, Paula, because Auntie Sophia and I want to point out that he has actually been on the Caribbean Edge Kids to read and inspire other kids. And we never disclosed anything about how exceptional he is, right? And he just came on and was himself. And through conversations, we know as well that the things that you put in place for Joshua also allowed your 4-year-old to join as Miss Olivia Grace. For those of you that watch the kids show and the adult show, you'll know Olivia Grace from the kids show, and she's been on here about 4 or 5 times. And when we started this show, Auntie Sophia and I said, okay, we're going to do 5 to 15, and Auntie Michelle as well. And so when we met the amazing Olivia Grace, singing Carry Me, I Could Go to Livingston Market, and found out she was an exceptional reader,
yeah.
we had to have her on the show. And you're just one awesome mom. So you're inspiring other moms and parents that are going to tune in and see this show, that nothing is impossible. And like you said, you don't know why you were dealt this hand, but you certainly showed the world how you can be different and how involved you need to be in your kid's life, no matter what. Sophie?
Oh, absolutely. And it was just a delight to meet your children. And I see by the gleam in your eyes that you're absolutely proud of being a mom. You take the role seriously and you really invest in your children. And that's what we want to impart tonight, how important it is for us as parents. We're given these little gifts. We're given these little raw clay to mold and to make into whole human beings. The Lord entrusted them in our hands. So it is our job to be good caretakers. So that is absolutely amazing. And I appreciate you. Thanks for sharing. And thanks for telling us of your journey on the road to getting your children to be absolutely exceptional. And they all can be. Our children are all wonderful gifts.
If I might add, Auntie Sophia and Auntie Dawn, I want to say to parents who are listening that it's okay. You know, it's okay if you think that your child is having a problem. Just get help for the child. Just make sure that you check. You know, it's one thing for you to be saying, oh, nothing is wrong with my child, but nothing is wrong with just making sure that everything is okay. Because there is a window between birth and 5 years old. If you don't stimulate your child within that category, it will no longer be stimulation, it will actually be remediation. And that is what we are faced with here in Jamaica. A lot of our children are struggling from the basic school level right up to the high school level. I didn't even realize how serious it was until I was actually in the setting, working with some of those students. And that's where you find the behavioral issues are pouring out, because these children are crying out for help. And if we don't get the help for them, then our society is doomed, you know? So I want to appeal to those parents who may think that their child has a challenge, you know, help them, because right now is the time. And if you pass that window, like I said, it's going to be remediation, and the child is the one who's going to suffer in the long run. Thank you.
Thank you so much for pointing that out, Paula. And Altano, welcome back to the Caribbean Edge. How are you this evening?
Well, thank you very much for having me back. And it's been great having a good evening listening to all what is happening here tonight.
Well, welcome. Tell us about you, your wife. You've been married, what, 23 years, I believe?
I'm 22 years and I have two boys, one girl, right? And I am a motivational speaker, pastor, manufacturer, and a counselor, friend, and being just trying to be that person, that guy that's helping people along the way. Right.
And
So
the only dad on the show tonight.
yes, I am the only male amongst 4 lovely females, and I'm trying to figure out how do I weather this storm.
You'll be quite fine. So welcome. And I do want to introduce Miss Tamara as well. Hi, Tamara, how are you?
I am fine, thank you. I think I'm the only one here that's in Florida with you.
Yes.
Okay. Well, school perspective here, I guess I will speak on it on a different perspective. For me, I like how involved the teachers are here. However, the different school systems do play a role in it as well. For example, Zara didn't start school until she was 4. So I homeschooled her until she was 4. And we talked about it, and she made a decision that she wants to go to school, but more for the social aspect, not for the learning aspect as well. So school, I mean, for me, I do like school. I do like the roles that the teachers play in terms of, fostering education and fostering growth and ensuring that the class is brought up to speed. But then the con for me, as we were discussing earlier, is not all kids learn the same way. Not all children are rote learners. Not all children are physical learners. They sit and they read and, things like that. So as a single parent, I've had to put a lot of time into getting my child up to the par, up to where I want her to be in terms of learning.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you can give us a different perspective as well, in the sense that you are a single parent and you mentioned that you co-parent with her dad, and you go to one of our favorite schools. Your daughter attends Bethlehem Junior Academy right here in Florida.
I do.
Which is a phenomenal school.
It is a phenomenal school. I'm very blessed to have been guided to that school, because I was very wary of sending her to school. As I said, I've seen some of what the school system can do, and I was really wary about making sure that she was up to a level where I didn't have to worry if the teacher wasn't teaching or that she didn't understand in class. She could come home to me and always understand. But yes, we do have a co-parenting regime happening between mom, dad, or relative spouses and grandparents. So she's here with me throughout the year, and then in the summertime, dad and grandparents and his spouse takes over.
Good. So what are some of the things that you put in place? Does dad have the same attention span mom has, or?
It has been trying in the beginning. I think it has gotten better, especially with the fact that with grandparents, with grandma around, and with his spouse around. But I think it has gotten better. But in the beginning, no, it was I was being too harsh. She's so young, and I don't think I'm being harsh. I do understand she's young, but I tried to make learning as fun as possible. But as far as he was concerned, if it's not playing, it's not fun. So, run up and run around outside, and it's summer, we don't need to practice our writing, and we don't need to practice, and I'm like, yes, practicing and repetition is what makes it work. It's what gets us along the path. If she does it, even 20 minutes a day, it will save us from when she comes back from the summer and she doesn't know how to do anything. We have to start all over again. So like Paula said, remediation, if even 20 minutes a day, you can have your child, practicing something educational, it will stick with them. And like Miss Walker, Zara says to me something that Miss Walker says to her all the time: once you learn it, you can't unlearn it.
Good.
And once you learn it for good. You can never unlearn it. And that is true, because there's things that I learned years ago that I still use to remind me of stuff. For example, we had this saying in Jamaica, I before E except after C. And I still, to this day, when I'm writing the word receive, I before E except after C. So, once you learn it, you can never unlearn it.
Absolutely.
Yes, and the good point you made is make learning fun. Yes, they're children. And another point you made is the importance of all those involved in the training up of the child to be on the same page. So it's important that we know it takes a village. We've always said that. But the village has to understand the goal and have to be on the same page. You're here trying to structure her and give her that academic awareness. And then if she goes off to a daddy or an auntie or somebody else who's involved in the rearing and they choose to minimize that influence, that can be a problem. But it's always good to create a balance. So we like that. So yes, make learning fun is absolutely something we encourage. And this is the new direction that we're going in. And I hear from you before I give back the podium to Auntie Dawn, to Dawn, is that the parents' involvement is key. I understand selecting the right school. I understand being aware of the environment your child is going into in a school setting, but know this, your role is absolutely important. And I see that both parents we have spoken to so far, and of course, Tano will attest to that as well, that it's important that you play a role in your children's learning. That is important.
Yeah.
So thanks for sharing that.
Yes, I really love Tamara and her Zara's dad's perspective because they're co-parenting. So many of us make it about us when we separate because of the feelings and the emotions. And it's so good to hear that someone is still communicating with their ex for the well-being of their child. So that's a strong message. We have to work through those emotions and put our child first and be able to call and text. So that's very good.
And let me also shout out the grandparents and the spouses because they play a role too.
Yes. I do want to ask you about the transition though with COVID-19 and the kids leaving that school setting into the home setting, because that really impacted how parents had to interact more with their kids. So we're seeing that a lot. So I'll ask Tamara on that, and then Altana, I also want to get your perspective from Jamaica as well on it. So Tamara?
Okay, well, when COVID started, Zara was in kindergarten, and I'm going to say God bless her kindergarten teacher. I was home with her, and to be honest and to be fair, after I dropped homeschooling, I help with homework, and we do Spanish as well on the side. That's not within school. So we do Spanish as well. So I help with that. So math is the only other subject I will help her with. And that's if she really doesn't understand something in her homework. But I'm going to be honest and fair, Miss Walker, her kindergarten teacher, she stepped up to the plate. It is very difficult to have 4 and 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds sit still in your house on Zoom. They all want to be unmuted. They all want to be heard. They all want to show you their house. But she managed to corral them. She managed to teach them Zoom etiquette. She managed to also make class fun. I could literally leave the room that Zara was in and not worry that she was not engaged and doing her work. Only time I would hear from her is, "Mommy, I can't find this," or "Mommy, where is that?" But other than that, Miss Walker kept them engaged. She managed to pivot so quickly. I don't know how she did it. I'm going to be fair. I don't know how she did it. She learned along with them what kept them engaged. She learned that having a camera pointed to her, like she got a whiteboard in her house. she pointed that camera towards it, and she's on one screen teaching and the whiteboard is on the other. So she'd write things down, and she takes notes from them. So she took turns asking the kids, hey, how do you feel about this? Or what did you understand from this? Just to make sure they all felt involved. And not to say they didn't unmute themselves when they felt like and yelled what they wanted to yell, but I'm telling you, they learned Zoom etiquette so quickly. It's amazing.
Kids are sponges.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. We then we left kindergarten, graduated online, and started grade 1 on Zoom as well. And I think that's when the Zoom fatigue started to wear at her. She was bored of sitting there and not being able to see her friends and talk to her friends. She thought maybe that by the time holiday was over and she went back, she'd be back in school. So it started wearing on her, started stressing her. She started destroying my house. And I don't mean it in a bad way. It's just that she will sit and she will just start writing. She'll take paper, she'll write. She's very expressive. So she'll write, she'll draw, she'll color. And it got to the point where, you're sitting on, sitting on a business call for too long, we start zoning out. She started zoning out. So I had to be there a lot to say, hey, snap back in. You need to do this, you need to do that. And I found I had to be there more to get her to focus. But she still did her work. She did her work. She surprised me. I'm going to tell no lies, because I've had to be here yelling, Zara, please pay attention to your teacher so often. The only thing I had to step in with, as always, and I know it, she's not a strong point with math, but it comes to knowing your child and knowing what they will need help with. So, I know how to help her with math. That was also my weak point growing up. I learned, and now I teach her the way I wish I was taught. But then there are teachers who are out there and who will, spend the time and look at your child and say, hey, mom, can you sit with your child and do this? And can you sit with your child and do that? But during this time at home, helping her, trying to get her to understand why she needed to be online. And, she got really down. There are times she was really, really down. So we started, doing things to make learning a little bit more fun. So she has a book, My America, My World. And in the book, it speaks to the different places in America. Every minute she'd come to me, Mommy, I want to go here. Mommy, I want to go here. So I said, make a list. Make a list of all the places you want to see. And then when we can, we will go. And she made a list of I'm going to say 37 places. And so far, my boyfriend and I, we took her to see Niagara Falls. She wanted to go to Niagara Falls. We took her to Niagara Falls. Yeah. So, things like that. She learned the history of the falls. She learned so much about it in the book. She wanted to see the actual place. And I feel like things like that help them to stay motivated. Like, wow, this place that I learned about in my book is really real. The history of this place, it really happened. I'm standing where, all this happened. Canada is right there. America is right here. So that motivated her to want to learn more as well. So different things along the way. She passed her SATs. She came second in her class in terms of grades. And and I was very impressed, because I'm like, I didn't know that being here all this time, she was really paying attention.
That's good. Everything that the foundation you laid with her is there. And that's such a nice thing to share with the rest of the world. Like, she's read all these things, you told her, and there's no book to tell you how to parent, right? So you told her, just write a list of those places. She comes up with 37 places, and you're able to at least take her there so she can connect the dots. And that's so beautiful, right, Sophie? Oh my gosh, I love it.
That's hands-on learning. Yes, that's absolutely important as well. And I'm just hearing you, I'm listening, and this is the emphasis tonight, how important it is. And I'll repeat it, being keeping your children engaged and being there for them, being a part of the learning process. We're the first point of contact. We're the first point. And I'll interject here and tell you, when I remember my mom, who's no academia, but she knew that we needed to learn, right? To make sure that we have an education. My mom was a seamstress, and I can remember as a little girl, before even starting school, she's sewing at the machine, and all the spools of thread. My mom is sewing and she's sewing, and she said, come here, as she's doing the pedal machine. Take up the thread and count them. How much spool of thread you see? 5 spoon. Take away 2. I just muted myself, but she's using the tools that she had, and I made sure of making that reference to let you know it doesn't take a lot of money to be engaged. My mom was a seamstress. She had the spools of thread, she had needles, she had whatever it was, material. She had us measure yards. She used the things around her and was very involved in our learning. And another thing I remembered as a child growing up in Jamaica, as long as you could talk and you look like you're interested, thank goodness back then there was no restrictions on age for starting school. As long as the child looked engaged, that she's ready or interested, the teacher would say, bring her, come. And you'd end up having a child in a classroom starting at 3 years old, when over here it's a different thing in the States, where you have to wait until you're a certain age and then you pay a ton of money to teach them earlier, when in fact in Jamaica the public school will actually take you, well, back in my time, if you're so inclined to learn. So we call it basic school back in Jamaica. So the little ones will be there, and as long as they're ready to sit still, and or rather just show some interest, they were taken. And I really appreciated my early years of education in the
May I
various
just interject
settings.
one little bit, Sophie? Well, that is true. I do remember in starting school at like 2 or 3 myself. But what I like about Bethlehem, is they have combined their pre-kindergarten, so which would be like kinder 1 for Jamaica, I think, their pre-kindergarten level with their let's call it daycare level. So the daycare and the pre-kindergarten are combined as a early learning school, and they do that. Right. So they take the kids as young as 2 there, and they do start with them. They start with this is with Bethlehem.
Bethlehem, which is what we just need to point out, that it's not traditional.
No, it's not traditional.
A lot of the concepts and the model is taken from Jamaica.
That is true.
So that's a whole different direction there. But we appreciate them, and that's why we're so focused on that school as well. We appreciate them, and we see the results, and we're very impressed with the model. So thanks for sharing that.
Yes. And Altano, our only gentleman on the panel, we want to hear from you of everything you've thought of throughout this whole conversation, and also to give us the perspective of a father being involved in your child's life, your children's lives.
Okay. Well, COVID has flipped the script, right? On a lot of things, right? It has transformed how we communicate with our children. School, everything has changed, right? And the narrative that was being embedded in Jamaica over the past couple of years is that when something great happens, is the teacher did it, and something bad is the parents, and or when it is bad also it's the teacher. Say if the child didn't pass, it's the teacher too, and everything is the teacher. Right, but we have to know that it's not just about the teacher, it's about the responsibility of the parent. That is the home. And one of the things that happens for me over COVID, it is that it's not even me, it's my wife was the person that was behind all of these things, that making sure things was being done, right? And it is so good to have 2 parents, right? And I believe that children need 2 parents, to parent them, right? To bring them in the right way, right? Because the father might have one way, but the mother might have another way. But when you combine that, you can have the great glow of these individuals that you have brought into this world. And COVID has taught us many things, right? And has also impacted the children, because now you have 2 boys, 1 girl, right? One is, 2 are in high school and the other is in primary school, right? He was in grade 2, then he went to grade 3 in this whole time. So, you know, this is where you've got to get the instruments and the different things and to staying online and getting all these things. And the most challenging part was the smallest child, right? That was our greatest challenge, you know, to keep him interested in school, right? Why do I have to go to school online? Why do I have to wear, you know, this uniform and to go to school too, and all these different things combined? But at the end of the day, it is this: we have triumphed over the season. We have helped our children to triumph. And we have seen where parents now has a greater respect for teachers, because that was broken down in our society at large, right? Parents, the respect for teachers has flown through the window, the respect for authority, the respect for the doctor, the nurse, all these different things has gone out of our society, right? But when is it that you are seeing that you know as the parent that has to try to get the resources, one, to be on the job and to make sure that your child is still learning, because your child cannot go to school, but online. Now you're seeing that, guess what? You know that the teacher is really important. How do I speak to the teacher? And you don't realize then that it was always supposed to be a collective effort. And I have been speaking about this for years, that you can't have the system where parents are abusing, verbally abusing and physically abusing the persons that are helping their children, and they are not playing the vital role, the responsibility. But now I am sad for COVID, but I am glad for COVID also. It has brought us back to reality to say the things that are important. Our children are important. What is it that we are giving to them? Our family structure is important and it is broken down. How do we fix that? How do we tell the children that your father loves you, but they don't see the father? How do we tell them that their mother loves them and they don't see the mother? That's in the single parent, either the father or the child has, or the father or the mother has the child. So we need all of them to come together and to build this child to be a better person for the next generation. And if we don't do it in the home, somebody outside there in the world is going to steer your child in the wrong direction. It's happening. It is happening, right? Teach them the love, the caring, and all these different things are supposed to be taught at home, right? Knowing how to treat each other is started at home. Knowing how to care for your environment, knowing how to care for your sibling, knowing how to care for your friends, it's starting at home, right? These are the bottom line and the principles that you can, it's not just about the maths and the English and want to learn all of these different things. No, it's how to communicate, how to be responsible, how to know that, guess what, your action. So I have to teach my child, guess what, you're responsible for this. If you said you're going to do this, you're responsible for it. It's not being done, it's your responsibility. And over this time period, yes, they might complain and they might say that, oh yes, I don't have to. You give them some chores, give them some responsibility, help to build them, right? So it is important, not just about the learning aspects of life, but because that is also learning, right? So when they go back into the real world again, we call it the real world, going back into the school system, they can't wait. I don't know which child out there is not waiting to go back to school. They are tired of sitting down, right? Everybody's waiting to go, right? So this time has taught us a lot, right? It has built families coming closer together. And it has changed a lot. So in Jamaica, I am glad that it came and the lockdown came, that some of us can realize that our children acting up and being rude in the school system and breaking down the things. Now they are at home the whole day, they tear down the house. I have to say, guess what? No, I have to stand up and discipline. The discipline is not supposed to come from the school. I am supposed to do the discipline in homes, in your home, that your child go out there to represent what is being taught at home. So that's my input.
Yes, and I will speak for single parents out there, like Tamara, having two parents in the same house, if you're growing together and you're loving and you're everything for your kid, is great to raise them. But as we know, the divorce rate, especially in the US, is, I believe, at 50%. Not everyone has that. So that's why I respect Tamara's situation where they are co-parenting and communicating when it comes to the education of their child. So not everyone will stay married. That's the reality. That's it.
May I interject here? No, I am not saying that everyone will stay married. I am just saying that at the end of the day, you need two parents, right?
You absolutely do.
Right? So even if one is way in Timbuktu and the next one is here, you still need the input of the two parents. Must know that daddy and mommy, the child must know that, right?
Let me interject, sorry. And I respect two-parent households, I do. However, I feel, for example, in a single-parent household, because I hear I'm not a single parent, but I am, because when she's with me, she's with me. Granted, I have a spouse. When she's with her dad, she's with her dad, and granted, she has a spouse. But the reason I call it single parenting is because the majority of the parenting work falls on the primary parent. Not to say that the parent, the people who are in our lives don't impact our child's life. They do. They bring positive things to their lives as well as, but it is a case where I find that when you learn to love, whether it's your child or not, you start to look at it like, this is my family. This is somebody I'm steering, that a piece of me is going into the future with. So even if I never have another, even if I don't or have a child, or I'm just helping this person to raise this child, they will always talk about mommy, yes, mommy, daddy, but they will also talk about the spouses, because they played an important role in rearing the child. So it is difficult as a single parent, single in the terms of she's primarily with me, but again, he's a single dad in the summer because she's primarily with him. But what about the parents? And I have friends who have lost a spouse. They have to do it. And it's not that daddy don't want to be there. It's a part of life. As there is life, there is death. And, they know their parents. Yes, it is a case where you can, how should I say this? It's a case where, yes, it is ideal to have both parents in the household, but sometimes it is ideal to have the grandparents in the household. It is ideal to have another partner in the household. It is ideal sometimes as a single parent, because you never know, the other parent might be toxic, to have them in the household. And I'm not disputing that fathers are necessary to their children. Fathers are necessary, and fathers no matter what role they play, they are vital to their children's upbringing, because mothers, we cuddle and we coddle. Fathers are the roughhousing one, and they teach the children to be daring. I trust me on that one. If it was up to me, she would never do anything dangerous. She wouldn't break a bone in her body. Nothing would touch her and scare mash her foot. But the father is just like, let's let him go. You know, the father, the male figures, they are wild with the kids, and it's what's needed. I understand that, but in some situations it can't happen. And in that case, what I would say, for those situations where, you know, daddy isn't there, it is okay to have the memory of daddy. It is okay, but mommy has to do it now. And or even if mommy isn't there, daddy has to do it now. And we have to look to those parents and commend those parents, because it is wonderful to be married. Nobody, I don't think anybody sets out to be a single parent. I personally did not, but I don't think anyone sets out to be a single parent. But if you are placed in the situation and you have to play the role, you do what you need to do, because you need to make sure that your child comes up to be the best person and the best version that contributes to society, that they can be, and you want to do that. So let me also state that there are some teachers, the parents are neglectful, and the teachers are the one that will step in and make sure the child is fed. They'll make sure that they take the child aside and that they're understanding, that they don't get bullied. So, you know, not just, I understand we don't have a teacher on panel right now, but I want to highlight that as well, that I have a cousin, she was a teacher, and when she was a teacher as well, she's not a mother, but she takes such good care. She of her students. She used to teach. She doesn't teach anymore, Derica, if you're watching, but she used to teach, and then she would leave work and tutor the kids that were remedial. And this is not something that was charged. She would just do it because she did not like to see her kids being held back. So I love you fathers. Don't get me wrong, Altano. you are necessary. You are vital. You are the rock to the mother's cushion. But sometimes, you know, it can't, sometimes there is no balance. It's not that we don't want, it's a part of life. There's no balance.
Yeah. Thank you. And so we do have a teacher on the panel, actually, Paula.
My apologies, Paula.
I would just like to add, I mean, I was listening to Tamara, and you mentioned a very, very important point about making learning fun. Learning has to be fun, because for a child, playing is actually a child's work. Just as we do our work, we are busy doing all sorts of stuff. For children, playing is the work that they do, and it's through playing that they learn critical thinking, they explore, they are understanding new things, they're discovering. And this is what, as teachers, this is what we need to do. We need to bring the fun back in learning. And to add, for I'm going to be embarking on a summer initiative in my community, and I'm going to be using game-based learning strategies to help those students who are struggling. So this right here, oh, I hope you can see. Can you see? Seems as if I'm going to have to take off my virtual background. All right, let me take it off so you can see. Can you see now? You're not seeing it well? All right, let me take off the virtual background so the world will be seeing. Yes.
You can see it, but you have to hold it directly in front of you.
Oh.
Yes, right. There it is. It's a shaker bottle.
This is a regular water bottle, right? A regular juice bottle. And it's actually, let me see it now. It's actually painted by me and my children. All right, so Joshua and Olivia, I think I'm going to take this virtual background off. Virtual background.
If you hold it direct in front of the camera, you'll be fine. We're seeing it.
Yeah, we're seeing it.
Okay, great. So this was actually painted.
Just hold it in front of your face, Shirley.
Ah, here we go. Right. So this is actually was painted by Joshua and Olivia and myself. And afterwards, you can see this white thing here, that's actually Velcro that I glued the Velcro on. So when we're playing different games, so we might be playing a word game, or we may be playing a letter game, and we would bowl for words. So we're bowling for words, we're bowling for letters, we're bowling for numbers, you name it. You know, it helps. It's bringing the fun back in. There is bingo. You can create flashcards and do go fishing. These are the strategies that I've used with my children, and they're proven that, and they work. You can see the results that they do work. And I also I've worked with special needs children, remedial children, and I've found too that these strategies also work for them, because once they are having fun, they're releasing the happy hormones, and with the release, it makes them grasp the concepts. It makes it stimulating, and you know, it's just fun. COVID has really taken the fun out of learning for me personally, because I love being around my students. I loved thinking outside the box, coming up with new strategies and new activities to stimulate them and keep them interested in learning. But with that comes a new type of game-based learning, which we can do online. So there is Kahoot, there is Edpuzzle, there is the Google Jamboard. Oh my God, did my phone battery just die?
We can still hear you.
Okay, my phone battery is going. I have it plugged in, but for some reason.
So we'll give you time to set that up, okay?
Okay.
So one of the things I know she mentioned is just with COVID-19, just not having those social interactions with others, which is so important. So Tamara, how are you handling it? They're back in school now, right? Or they're off for summer now?
They're off for summer, but summer school is back in person, from what I understand. But I wanted to piggyback on what Paula said about game-based learning and backtrack to starting learning early. So it is the thing now for parents to give their children tablets. And I am not against screen time. My child, the Lord knows that when she's ready, she is on her tablet. But what I have done since she was young is I've curated what she's watched. So many call me a helicopter mom. But I'm, you know, so the nursery rhymes, yes, but the ABC was what I kept in rotation. So even at like 10 months, my mom tells this story. My mom had her when she was 10 months old on the road, and they passed KFC, and she goes, KFC, because I started her at 6 months with the ABC and the ABC videos and the ABC learning. So even I put it on the screen, the song would play in the background, A, B, C, D, and I started her there. In addition to that fact, there was a bedtime story every night. And it was always a picture book, so we could, you know, role playing the voices. So she thinks that I'm talking as a different person each time, things like that. Then we have learning to share was hard. That was hard. We did that with her best friend, Olivia Ray. And let me tell you, they've been together for a long time, since they were 2 and 1. And they, as much as they loved each other and they loved being around each other, they did not like to share. So learning to share was a difficult one, but you know, we always emphasized when you have friends, you know, we share with our friends, and when we share with our friends share with us, and it makes everything fun. Getting older now, we have the library app Hoopla. They have books that read to you, they have books that are mini movies, so the words appear on the screen and you see the pictures going by. Hooked on Phonics, and I do the apps because I'm very IT based, and a lot of the time the kids are on the tablet anyway. I'm not gonna lie, they're on the tablets anyway. They're sitting and they're watching I don't know what on YouTube. So why not do something that is going to be educational as well? Starfall Kids, that teaches it's an introductory level to like verbs and adverbs, and it reads story to them, and then it tells them, like it will be teaching about adjectives, describing words, and it will read the story. The frog walked in the blank forest, and then it gives examples of like the frog walked into the dark forest, the frog walked into the running forest, the frog run forest, you know, different. And she'd read it and be like, oh, dark makes sense, to the point now where Zara corrects people's sentences because of little apps like these. So if Miss Walker was here, she would tell you, you know, her children, her class, they have no problem correcting her grammar. They have no problem correcting her sentence structures. And she takes it in stride, which is very impressive. So the apps are there for math. There is a multiplication game that's Space Shooters. And the kids have to do each level. It's like a space. They're in outer space and they have to shoot the rocks. But to shoot the rock, you have to solve the multiplication the multiplication problem. So it will show you 3 times 1, and it will give you different answers. And when you pick the correct answer, it shoots it to show that you got it right. So there are different things that keep them engaged as a game, as apps, as learning devices. And these are the things that you have to, you know, emphasize. There's Duolingo Kids for Spanish. If you want to teach your children another language, it is very, very good. And let me also, if you don't mind me shouting out, we do Spanish with Happy and Bilingual. It's another Jamaican-based lady. I should introduce you. She's Jamaican-based. She went to Immaculate High, and she started an online Spanish school for other children to learn. So, you know, there's Duolingo as well, which is also game-based, teaching different languages. And for me, trying to get her to do Spanish in the beginning was fun for her. But then when she goes to school and there's nobody to use it on, I had to make it fun for us. So we do simple things like silly sentences. You have to make a silly sentence in Spanish where the subject of the sentence is something that's totally unbelievable. We do translating from Spanish to Patois without using English in between, and she loves that because she loves her Patois. So, you know, things like that, things like that I do with her, and just to make it fun. So let me backtrack. Paula is back. Go ahead, Paula.
I am just making notes. Space Shooters, okay.
We're gonna have to get Tamara to send us a list of all of those, because I am happy that you talked about technology and the different apps that are out there, because a lot of us don't have school-age kids, but we might be grandparents as well to these kids. So thank you for that. Go ahead, Paula.
Most definitely. So I was saying, I want to say, as a teacher tomorrow, hats off. You know, I love parents like you, because unfortunately in Jamaica, we don't have a lot of those. We have parents who expect the school to be a babysitter, and I am talking not just at the kindergarten or the basic school level, but throughout. You know, they don't supervise, they don't check, they don't communicate. There's no homeschool collaboration. And let me tell you, I mean, it's not that the teachers don't try. We create, especially during COVID, we have created WhatsApp groups to try to communicate, to reach out to the parents. And let me tell you, they don't, when they do come in, it's just to complain. When you're saying, okay, you need to check with the child, check the child's work, ensure the child does the work, make sure the child is coming into class, the parent is nowhere to be seen. And Mr. Morgan raised a very good point that when he said, thank God for COVID, because a lot of these children, they'll come to school and they have a lot of behavioral challenges. And then the parents will come to school and they want to cuss out the teachers. And they don't realizing that it is coming from the home. And now with COVID, they have gotten a taste of what we have been experiencing all year round. You know, so I'm glad for COVID in that regard.
Yes.
But I'm sad because being a parent, being a teacher, and being a student, during COVID, when everybody's at home, is hard work, very hard work, you know, but we find a way to make it happen. And we are social beings. We're social beings. We like to go out. We like to interact. We like to talk. We like to have fun with our friends. And being isolated, being separated from them, that brings on a whole different emotional ball game right there, you know, roller coaster. And I mean, for me personally, with my son, I'll be honest, I've had meltdowns here. I've broken down. I've at one point I felt like I was just falling into a well that has no bottom, just like when you're on a roller coaster and you feel like the pits of your belly is just falling. I've gone through that, because it's as if you say to yourself, okay, I believe I've gone through the stages, and he's now at a particular stage, and he seemed like nothing, there is no challenge. He has outgrown autism. And then you're just like out of left field, something else, a new behavior, a new attitude just emerge, and you're like, my God, what am I going to do? You know? But thank God there are persons out there, and that's why I'm so glad for this medium, you know, to share, because I know there are a lot of persons. I've personally spoken to parents who they call me, they WhatsApp me, they check out my status, and they say, you know, Miss Rowe, thank God for you, and so forth. But I'm saying thank God for them, because they also share their story with me that motivates me. You understand? And it's a daily thing. It's a daily thing, you know. Our children that don't have any challenges, they are struggling, let alone those who have challenges, you know. And it pains my heart when I see a child who I know if they get the support, the parental support, they can do well. And they'll send them to school, and the teacher tries all that she can do and bring them to a point, and then the child goes home and come back, and there's nothing, there's no stimulation, there's no parent, and it's as if the child is just there like a figurine. It's just not fair to the child. It's not fair. You spend money on the most elaborate hairstyles and this and that, but what about the child? And the money is not the issue, you know. You don't. It's not about the money. It's about the parental support that the child needs, right? And a lot of parents are now realizing that the school can't do it alone. You also need to get to play your part. You need to do what needs to be done. And as Tamara mentioned, these apps, my God, they're a godsend at times. And as Mr. Morgan said too, persons are helping to raise your children, and it's not always good. And the tablet and the technology, it comes with its advantages and its disadvantages. And that's where parenting comes in. Parenting is so important. You have to ensure that you supervise, you pay attention, you monitor, because if you leave your child up to these devices alone, it's like you're giving your child to a complete stranger. Absolutely. And you're not going to know what's happening, and then they are going to influence them, not just negatively, not just positively, sorry, but negatively as well. And it's scary, Auntie Dawn. Listen, it's scary. It's scary. I mean, with my children, we have conversations, and sometimes I get overwhelmed, and I say, oh my God, listen, mommy needs some mommy time. Mommy need a staycation. I need to stay in the room, and you guys stay outside.
We're gonna wrap up this last couple minutes, as we definitely see an hour isn't long enough. I believe Alton wanted to say something. Go ahead, Alton.
I just wanted to, what I wanted to interject here is that COVID has taught us a lot of things, right? And we have to build on what we have learned in this period, right? How is it that after this has passed, how do we keep the parents engaged in the children's life, right? How do we keep them engaged and don't let you go back to the days when the parent just send the child to school and they don't look in the child's book, they don't do these different things. How do we keep them? So that is a conversation that needs to happen in the school level, right? In the government level. How do you keep the parent involved in the child's life? And know that you need three persons. It needs three to learn. You need the parent, you need the child, and you need the school or the learning material. And these three has to be coincide for the child to come out good, right? For the child to be a productive person in the society. So the child to dream big, right? At the end of the day, we as parents, we need to tell our child, and we need to know to tell them that, guess what? Your dreams are never too big. You have to give them the information that they can also dream, to explore the world, to become that scientist, that architect, whatever their desire is, and to channel the energy. If the child loves to do football, yeah, encourage the child in that thing, right? If they love to paint, if they love to do the different arts, the different things, there are so many things that are there, right, that the children can learn. And don't tell a child, oh, you want him to be a doctor because time to be a doctor. And the child don't want to be a doctor, right? So you have to help to push them in the direction of the things that they love, and not what just you want, but what you see, what qualities you see in your child. That, and they say, Mom, you know, so I want to be a scientist. Well, help them. I want to be a mechanic. Yeah, don't look down on a mechanic. There are lots of cars. Say, okay, then you want to be a mechanic. Guess what? Don't just be a normal mechanic. Be a specialist that everybody going to come to you, right? Yes, be the best mechanic you can be, right? Whatever you want to be, it is great. To encourage your children, encourage them, and encourage the teachers. Get the different things, then get involved and keep that involvement moving, keep that going and go there, because we can impact our children, because we need them to be the persons that are going to come after us and to be the leaders of tomorrow. Thank you.
Auntie Sophie?
Yes, absolutely. And just hearing all of you, I'm very impressed tonight. Tamara, thank you so much for being involved in your child's education. Paula, you are just a phenomenal woman with the struggles you have gone through and the challenges, and still just look so happy to be a teacher, and you seem to be the proudest mom ever. And of course, Altano, thank you for telling us that fathers are important in the lives of the children, and not just academically. You're talking about rearing them to be the whole person. So teaching is not just the books, but it's how we live, that we are true examples to our children. Because yes, it's cliche to say children are the future. They are. And we have been given these little putty in our hand to mold. We are here to mold them. So thank you all for your contribution tonight. And of course, just so you know, all the gadgets, yes, it's important, but listen, those without resources, use what you have. Write things, work with things that you have. I used to write little things on papers and cards for my children, and I use things and I count beads and corn and marbles and things around. So use your natural resources, and again, support the teachers. And they are now the new heroes. Did you know that, Auntie Dawn? The teachers have just COVID let us realize the importance of teachers, and they're the new heroes. All right. So thank you all.
Absolutely. And like Sophia said, I want to thank all our guests tonight. I know this conversation is way too short. We want to thank every single viewer that tuned in, and remember to share this episode. It's so important. We are just truly blessed, both Sophia, Michelle, and I, for doing the Caribbean Edge and the Caribbean Edge Kids Show, where we get to meet these amazing people. And even more so, they're amazing children that have come on the kids show. And, you know, it's been exciting, especially during COVID-19, to have these kids come on and read out loud. Some of them that are struggling when they started school, and now they're an example to everyone else out there. And we venture on our next step on the Caribbean Edge Kids, where we'll be teaching them Patois as well, because we love our beautiful dialect in Jamaica. So we're going to have a load of fun with that. But keep engaging in your kids, get them interested, get them involved. Tamara will share all those beautiful apps, and any parents listening, if you have ideas to share, please share it on the Caribbean Edge. And we appreciate. Have an amazing week. And thank you once again to our phenomenal guest. We love you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you all. Bye-bye. Good night.